No video yet. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. Give us 1 second while we work through some technical difficulties right now. So, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your patience and understanding as we work through this together. One thing I do want to say before we get started and we move into this is I can't thank you so much enough for everyone that I've talked to over the past couple of days and weeks of how understanding you've been with this process. This is not ideal for, I'm sure, a lot of you, but I do assure you that we are going to do the best that we can to make this educational experience for you and for your children. We're going to make it the best that we possibly can. So again, thank you for joining us today. I want to start you through our PowerPoint presentation here that'll briefly walk you through what our Milton Cyber Academy program is going to look like for you and your children. So today's agenda, what we're looking at, it's going to be brief introductions of our Milton Cyber Academy team. We're going to give an overview, first and foremost, an overview of what the flexible learning model looks like, because there has been a lot of questions and concerns about exactly what that looks like. We're going to take a few minutes. One of our team members, Mrs. Quartman, is going to talk to you, give you a brief overview of our learning platforms and what that will look like for your kids, and that'll kind of give you exactly an understanding of what a day will look like and how to progress through your learning. And then at the end there, we'll take questions and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. So without further ado, we'll get moving here. So some brief introductions. On with us today and a part of our team, a big part of our team is Mrs. Erin Quartman. She is our auxiliary instructor as well as a huge cyber school support for us. She's an amazing part of our team. She will be here to support all of our cyber kids. She's also our auxiliary instructor. So she's with us today, and she'll be walking you through a lot of the day-to-day pieces of our cyber education program. We have Kim Zalonis. She's new to our team this year. Kim will be our online facilitator for students taking online classes in the building here, but she will also be available to answer questions and support our students that are learning from home in our cyber school environment as well. We have Norm Jones, our community relations expert. He's also going to be facilitating and monitoring our questions that are coming in this afternoon as well. And I am Mike Bergey. I'm the cyber coordinator for the Milton School District as well as the high school co-principal. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what is flexible learning. I think there's been some misunderstandings as to what the Milton Flexible Learning Academy can possibly look like. So I want to take a minute to walk us through that process and what that school can actually look like for your kids. So first of all, Milton Cyber Academy it's basically live streaming of our classrooms in the buildings, in all four of our buildings, White Deer, Bacher, our middle school and our high school. Our in-house teachers will be streaming their classroom live. Students, if they choose to participate in the Flexible Learning Academy from home, they will be following a normal building schedule. So if their first block class starts at 8:10, they'll be expected to be on to their online learning platform at 8:10 and ready to learn. And they will mirror basically the building schedule that takes place within the respective buildings. It'll utilize a very familiar platform that if you were a part of our district last year, that they're going to utilize all the same platforms that we did last year, from Microsoft Teams, the streaming feature in Microsoft Teams, as well as the collaboration feature, the chat features, messaging features that go along with Microsoft Teams. That will be used as well. Sapphire is used for housing grades, turning in assignments, disseminating information from parents and for students as well. And also for in Office 365. That's another platform that some of our middle school and high school teachers utilize quite heavily. I know there are some elementary teachers that utilize that as well. So the flexible learning students that participate in the Flexible Learning Academy will be utilizing all those familiar platforms. So the last piece of this, and I think this is where our families may have misunderstood, the Flexible Learning Academy can be 100% virtual, which means your children do not have to come into the building at all. So big difference between the Milton Cyber Academy and the Milton Flexible Learning Academy is the classes in the Milton Flexible Learning Academy will take place in the building. Okay, the Flexible Learning Academy classes take place in the building, streamed live to the students that are participating at home. Cyber Academy will be taking place basically online, pretty much all online. It's a self-paced program to a certain extent, self-paced, but kids get to work at set their own hours, set their own schedules throughout the day. There is a set number of schedules, or a set number of classes that need to be completed each week. Mrs. Quartman will talk about that as well. But it is pretty much an independent learning process. There's videos that accompany those lessons that'll be taking place. There's assignments that need to be done, but it's all done virtually, and it's self-paced. Are we switching yet, Mr. Jones, or are we still? Give us a couple minutes here, folks, while we get some technical difficulties working on. I believe our PowerPoint has not been moving for you guys. We want to make sure that you can see everything. There's some important information coming up. All right, thanks for your patience, folks. Greatly appreciate it. I hope you can see the screen now that we're moving. Maybe. Okay, so after hearing that description of our Flexible Learning Academy, if you guys decide that, hey, you know what, that sounds like something that's more appropriate for my kids, or here's what you can do. If you say, you know what, I'd like to switch from the Milton Cyber Academy to the Milton Flexible Learning Academy, what you need to do is take down that email address that is listed there, cyber2flexible@miltonsd.org. Write that email address down. And you are going to send an email to that email address, and then be sure to include the listed information there, your child's name, the grade that they will be entering this school year, and the building that they will be attending this school year. So again, if after hearing the difference between the Milton Cyber Academy and the Milton Flexible Learning Academy, if you say, you know what, the Milton Flexible Learning Academy sounds better for my child than the Milton Cyber Academy, then please submit your request to make a change to cyber2flexible@miltonsd.org. And make sure you include that information there, your child's name, grade, and building name. I'm gonna give you a second to write that information down for those of you that may be interested. We will also, this PowerPoint will be housed on the website as well. It'll be housed on Milton Cyber Academy, Milton Cyber Academy's website. So if you want to go back and reference this video at a later time, you will be able to do that. Just be patient with us as we get it uploaded onto our site. All right, we're moving on. So the next part of this presentation is going to be talking about our learning platforms and what a day will look like for our kids participating in the Milton Cyber Academy. Mrs. Quartman is going to walk you through that. So give me 1 second while I stop sharing my screen, and Mrs. Quartman will be able to take over. You have access to it, Mrs. Quartman?
I'm trying.
Mrs. Quartman, are you there? If you're talking, Mrs. Quartman, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, she's moving along, so we can't hear her.
And can you hear me now?
I can't hear her.
I'll keep talking, and I just need to make sure somebody can hear me. Okay, if we can hear me, Dr. Zalonis will stop me if she can't hear me. All right, here we go. So Milton Cyber Academy, some of you are returning, some of you are new, half of you are elementary and the other half are secondary. So you might get information you don't need. Assuming I can get the PowerPoint to progress. Here we go. All right, so first question is usernames and passwords. I can tell you personally that anyone grades 9 through 12 has an account. The information was mailed to your Milton email address, kids, and it will come from mailsender@genius.com. So please look for that. We are waiting for grades K through 8. We're in the process on the back end. Once you have an account, again, it will come to your Milton email address from the same mail sender at Genius. If by Wednesday night, you guys cannot access that, please email me directly with login needed on the subject line. It's also crucial that everybody has access to your child's Sapphire account. I believe this came in the snail mail over the summer. If you don't have that information, if you can please contact Sharon Yannon at miltonsd.org. She can get that information to you.
Attendees, I got you.
One of the questions I always get asked is, how do I know if my kid is being successful? The best way you can do that is to log on as your child. You can see their assignments, what's been completed, what's upcoming, those kinds of things. You can also see any communication between your child and their teachers, and you can also see the amount of time that your student has been online working, and that even gets broken down by subjects. So when you get to your first screen to log on, everybody, regardless of what grade you're in, looks like this. And this will be your first dashboard. I have loaded 2 test lessons in here just in case we needed them for today, but this is your first dashboard, and all you have to do is pick one of those classes and it takes you to the next login screen. On your dashboard, also please pay attention to the things that are on the left. If you would like to use the message box, you can message your teachers that way, contact school, and you can go on down and see the other ones. Pacing as far as grades K through 5 goes. At this point, we are not looking at taking the elementary grade books and building them into Sapphire, because Accelerate Ed does a very nice job of pacing out your assignments to make sure that they get done in time to be completed with the marking periods. So you can see the dates are over there on the right, the assignments are on the left. Pacing and due dates for grades 6 through 12 will be housed in Sapphire. We've discovered over the years that it's not a perfect match, and so to keep everybody on the same page, we are building grade books in Sapphire so you can see what is due each day of the week. Again, if you don't have access to the Sapphire, please contact Sharon Yannon. For the sake of time, I will click these links, but since you guys will have access to them, I don't want to waste, this is a 7-minute video and the other one's an 11-minute video. But this one just breaks down Accelerate Ed, assuming it works. Did that switch screens? And this link is the learning coach's expectations, which the parent or the adult in the household is considered the learning coach. Grades 6 through 12, you have Keola and Edison courses. I'm much more familiar with that. Again, this link takes you to exactly here on this page where it's ESW help. There are lots and lots of videos that help you here. I apologize for not using the video links. I'm not able to share the video quick enough, and I don't want to keep slowing us down. But I promise you, when it gets embedded on the website, you click the link, it'll take you to the dashboard videos. And also, once you log on, you can click the same link here. A few helpful tips I've discovered over the years working here with the cyber system. Firefox seems to like our programs the best. If you're using an Apple device, you're going to need to download the Adobe Reader. It's also imperative that when you very first start, you watch for those pop-up blockers, because if you don't allow them to always work, each lesson you go into, you're going to think you can't progress, but you can. And sometimes, especially in the secondary system, you could be in the middle of a lesson and it'll stop you on a question. If you just clear your cache and reload the page, it should start right back up and right where you left off. So if you need help, first line of defense on your dashboard is contact school. They are there to do any technical pieces. If something's not working properly, they're your first line of defense. If you need academic assistance with your lessons, contact your teacher. They have office hours available, and they do have tutoring hours available. They can get you on a live session and open up a Blackboard screen, and you guys can work side by side on whatever assignment you're having trouble with. And if neither of those helped, then go ahead and email us here at school. For now, we're asking that when you email us, you email all three of us, myself, Dr. Zalonis, and Mr. Bergey, so that one of us can get back to you quickly. If you email just one of us, you run the chance of it taking a day before we see your email. And to sum it all up, this is all about teamwork and patience. This is new for you. The number of Cyber Academy students we have this year is new for us. And we are doing everything we can to help meet the needs of your students and make sure the parents are informed with all the information you need. Mr. Bergey, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Quartman. All right, folks. I know there's still probably a lot of questions that you guys may have, but like Mrs. Quartman said, those videos that are housed that she referenced links to, they will be extremely beneficial. They're very, very well done videos. They're very informative. I encourage you to take the time to watch those videos, and then we are here to support you as well. Mrs. Quartman alluded to the fact that our numbers are a little bit high for us. They are. We average probably about 45 to 50 kids in our cyber program up until this year, and that was K to 12. We are currently right now probably about 340. So we are servicing quite a few more students that we have in the past. So I do want to echo the fact that I appreciate your understanding, and we will do the best that we can to help you in the quickest fashion possible. At this point, we'll open it up, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in there. Mr. Jones will ask them to me, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. Mrs. Quartman will do the same thing. So is this Colleen here? I see. I understand that they would be at home. Or are we talking about the cyber program, or are you talking about flexible learning at this point, Colleen? She's talking about flexible? Okay. So the Flexible Learning Academy, they will be at home. Yep. And they will be using the same apps as they did last year. Microsoft Teams will be their live streaming app that they will use just like they did last year. I'm assuming Amanda asked there, do you know if they will have them before Thursday? Any student that is in the Milton Cyber Academy, enrolled in the Milton Cyber Academy or the 100% Flexible Learning Academy, they have opportunities to pick up their devices today from 4 to 6 and tomorrow from 4 to 6. They can come to door 10 at the high school. There's a map on the Milton Cyber Academy webpage that explains and shows you exactly where to go. You enter by the Turkey Hill entrance, you pull around there, and we have a crew of people that will help assist in getting your child their device. Oh, questions are flying in here, Norm. Where are we at? Yeah, so we can absolutely. Brennan asked if once things return to normal or the COVID requirements and expectations are lifted, you can absolutely change. Yeah, that's a good question. If you're in a cyber academy, our environment changes, and you say, you know what, I'm comfortable with my child going back to school, you can absolutely change their educational placement to either the Flexible Learning Academy or to bringing them back into the traditional school. Good question. I see somebody asked, are the cyber student schedules now posted in the student dashboard? For high school students, I believe the majority of them are inputted. We still have quite a few. I mean, we're getting about 12 to 15 change requests a day at minimum. So we're doing the best that we can to get those students enrolled and get their courses logged in as quickly as possible. If you haven't received the login information, correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Quartman, but you should, as soon as we get them enrolled, you should receive an email explaining username and password to get into the program, and then we will do our best to get them enrolled in courses as quickly as possible.
Correct. The second 9 through 12. Anybody in the high school has an account, and they should have that in their email system. Anybody K through 8 does not yet.
Colleen, I believe you asked, is there a meeting for that too? I'm assuming you're talking about the Flexible Learning Academy. There will not be a meeting like this for the 100% flexible kids, but we do ask that you get your device. And as long as we have your child enrolled as a flexible learning student, they will be enrolled in their respective buildings in their classes, and you should be receiving information from their teacher about how to join teams on day 1. So Katrina, Mrs. Quartman mentioned about a teacher for the children. If we are full cyber, are there teachers we would find at the school building posted? I think you're asking if there are teachers in our building that would be able to help our kids as well. In addition to Mrs. Quartman, in addition to Dr. Zalonis and myself, there can be that opportunity if you would like your child to, if you're a 100% cyber student and you would like some support from one of our teachers in the building, we can absolutely arrange that. I just ask at this point that you go through our guidance department. Kids can just email their guidance teacher, their guidance counselor, and they would be able to coordinate a time when they could get on teams with our teachers here in the building. As far as Mackenzie asks, will the cyber be different for 4th grade than 7th grade? Yes, they're using a different learning platform. 4th grade elementary students are using Accelerate Ed, and 7th grade, is it 6th or 7th grade, Mrs. Quartman, that is using Edison. So their platforms are a little bit different.
12 uses Edison courses.
Okay, thank you. How can we test all the apps to make sure students are able to get started on August 20th? So it's a web-based program. So if you received your login and password, you should be able to get in and access your courses. I'm guessing as long as the courses are available, you can get in and look at those courses and that coursework now. As soon as your child gets enrolled and the courses are uploaded onto their learning platform, you should be able to get in and have access to those courses. Amanda asked about hotspots be available. If you are requesting a hotspot, if you need a hotspot, I would ask that you email me personally with that request. I will put in a tech ticket for you guys to receive a hotspot. And then once that hotspot becomes available, someone from the school will contact you. You'll be able to come to the school and pick it up at that point. Will there be a link available to us that lists the teacher's office hours? So Kelly, I'm gonna have to ask for some clarification. If you're referencing our Milton teachers, are you referencing the teachers that are on Edison or Accelerate Ed? So if you're, let me just
in case the Accelerate Ed and Edison teachers, you'll get a welcome email within the system from them, and that's where they let you know what their office hours are and their tutoring hours are.
Sherry's asking about electives. How do they work for cyber students? So right now, we did our best to try to take our in-house schedules and convert them as to the most equivalent to a cyber course. If there's an elective that your child has that there isn't a possibility to sign up for a cyber class, we probably didn't put them in one. And I would ask that you would email Mrs. Quartman or myself about what elective your child would like, and we can get them enrolled in an elective that would probably be the most similar to the elective that they wanted in the building here. Our cyber courses do not utilize Teams. They utilize the Edison the eTool platform, which is Edison and Accelerate Ed. So Jennifer O'Brien asks, are all computers ready to be picked up now, even the ones that were still out for repair? You will get a personal phone call from somebody at the school district that will let you know if you've already received a phone call stating your child's device is not ready, you will receive a personal phone call from somebody in the building saying, hey, your child's device is ready at this point. So there's some Sapphire Blast communication that's going out that said, hey, come pick up your devices at this time. We are making individual calls, or we will make a personalized call that says, we know we told you before your child's device is not ready, but it is ready at this point, and we'll give you further instructions where to go and get that. If your device becomes ready after school starts, you will go to your child's respective building to pick that device up. Yeah. Mrs. Quartman, that's a good question. Username and PIN for our returning cyber kids, would that be the same, or do they get regenerated each year?
Returning cyber students should have the same username and password from previous years.
ESL, Mrs. Quartman, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the cyber courses do translate into their native language.
So Accelerate Ed and Edison do it differently, but they both do have the ability to translate either in text or audio, like it would read it to you in your native language. But it would also be helpful for us to make sure that the ESL teacher is aware that your child has transferred to cyber. Again, with the high numbers, I don't know that everybody has been given this information. If you could email me or Mr. Bergey or both of us, whichever family asked that question, we'll make sure to get Mrs. Warren or whomever needs to be involved in that, included in that.
So I see one about only having 4 classes logged on their schedule. For right now, we didn't load at the secondary level. We have not yet loaded second semester courses. We will eventually get to that. But for right now, we just have, we put in some primary courses, core courses for students to get working on at this point. So if there's a class that you would like your child to be enrolled in that they are not currently enrolled in, again, just reach out to Mrs. Quartman or myself and we'll make sure that we make that happen. Good question here. Colleen asked if we still have our device from last year, should we hold on to it or switch it? So for those individuals that may still have their device from last year, yes, please hang on to those. At some point, once we get every device in every kid's hands at the start of the school year here, our tech department, someone will be reaching out to you to try to get that back. You'll get a loaner, obviously, because we don't want to interrupt the educational process, but you'll get a loaner back, and then we will do the updates necessary to your child's device. Good question. Yeah, if you don't have any further questions and you want to jump off, you can, but I'm going to continue answering questions as they pop up. So a good question. If your child receives any type of extra services like speech or occupational therapy or anything like that, those services can still continue. That's absolutely is the plan at this point. We will just have to make sure that you're in communication with those the speech therapists. And again, once we get our list solidified, we're going to send that information out to our respective buildings, and they will be able to. Our speech therapists, our occupational therapists will be able to make contact with those families. Just be patient with those things as we work through the beginning of this school year. Question here, do the kids have to be with us to pick up the device at the device pickup time? There is a place for your child to sign if it absolutely does not work. And at least we need the parent's signature on that device to be able to release that device. So technically, yes, we like both parent and child there because there are places for both of them to sign. Question here about special education services. Special education services will still be in place regardless of whether you're a traditional student, a flexible learning student, or a cyber academy student. All special education services will still be provided. Your child's case manager will be reaching out to you. My guess is within the first week of school to make sure that we have the appropriate plan in place, and if any modifications or adaptations need to be made to that IEP, they will put together an IEP team meeting and make those changes. So another question here, how do we access our child's email where the login info is being sent? So the email, I believe, Mrs. Quartman, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that login information will be sent to the parent's primary email address.
I believe so, but I know the first email that we put into the system is the student's email. So if it's not in one, check the other. If it's in neither place, again, grades 9 through 12 have this information right now, then send us an email.
Just another question about the hotspots here. You'll get a phone call from somebody here at the school letting you know if you've already requested a hotspot. You will get a phone call from somebody here at the district letting you know when your hotspot does become available. Joe asked, what if we do not remember our logins and passwords for the apps? Are you referencing if you just happen to forget, or if you forgot from last year? Someone also, if you have unreliable internet or you do not have internet, email me directly and I will make sure that we get a request in for a hotspot for you. Someone asked about it. Do we contact IT if we're having issues? With your school issued device, if there is an issue, I believe we're going to get our chat feature, our tech chat feature that we had in place last spring. That is going to be back in business again for this school year. Again, we ask for your patience with that because now our tech department is not only going to have to service our virtual students, but they're also going to have to service our students that are being in the building. So that chat feature should be back in place again if you have any technical issues with your laptop. If you're having online issues with either the course or any of the software, or sorry, rather the internet, internet issues specific to the learning platforms through the cyber program, then the contact information that is on the learning platform is where you would go for that. So if you can't access my elementary students' Outlook, I don't believe any of our elementary students' email even got sent through because I don't think they have an account. I don't think our elementary students have email accounts. So that would automatically be sent to the email address that we pulled from your Sapphire account. Question, if the laptop is not ready until after school starts, how do they work on their schoolwork? We will do our best to make sure that we get a loaner device into kids' hands. Obviously, if we don't have it ready on that first day, there will be absolutely no negative repercussions from your child's standpoint. But we want to avoid that if at all possible. We're going to try to make sure that every child has a device in their hand. If your child does not have a device come Thursday evening, please make sure that you email me Thursday evening, and we will make sure that we get that. We'll get that rectified as quickly as possible. To Sapphire. Okay, so it says, when will cyber assignments? Is that what it was? Okay, so if we're talking about, it says, when will classes be on the website? If you're referencing on either the Edison or Accelerate Ed, we're waiting for our mass enrollment to occur, which went through Accelerate Ed for our elementary students. We sent them a document to mass enroll all of our elementary students. It just wasn't feasible for us to enroll over 100 students in the time frame that we had, well over 100 students in the time frame that we had. So they Accelerate Ed was able to mass enroll them. We are still waiting to make sure that that they have actually enrolled our students. As soon as we do that, it shouldn't be more than a day. Once we get the affirmation that they have all been enrolled, it should be a pretty easy enrollment process for our elementary students. High school students, if they don't have courses on their dashboard at this point right now, it's because we've had changes, and we will do our best to make sure that they get those classes put up as quickly as possible. So another good question. Will cyber students be informed if there are extracurricular activities or events going on that they should be aware of, like picture day and things of that nature, fundraisers? Yes, they will. Typically, those things go out based on the age level, and they typically go out to all students. So that is inclusive of our cyber students. So yes, you will be made aware of all of that information. If our child has an IEP, do they still have meetings and get extra help as needed? Yes, they will. Case managers should be reaching out to your child within the first week or so of school, just to make sure that you guys have any other questions related to special services answered. Yeah, yep, yep. Yep. So there's a question about if we're making a change to the Flexible Learning Academy, or if we're making a change to flexible learning. In addition to filling out that email or adding information, all of our building secretaries are listed on the Flexible Learning Academy page. So if you go under Virtual Academies on the Milton Area School District webpage, you go under Virtual Academies, you click on Flexible Academy. You can find your child's regular building secretary there. You click on that and you email your building secretary your change, as well as this, if you would like them to come into the building at all, you can reference that if you want them to come in for a block or two, or if you want them to stay at home. Yep, it was the address that you can reference for that is cyber2flexible@miltonsd.org. So I see Shauna asked if she just switched her daughter today. Can you come and still pick up the laptop today? Yes, you can. Your name won't be on the list, but we have somebody that is able to go and pull your child's device. So even though you may have just made a switch within the past day or so here, you can still come and get your device, and someone will be able to find your child's device. Question about how does cyber students do phys ed or gym? At the high school level is the level where that comes into play, because it is a requirement at the high school level. We have phys ed logs or gym logs that kids are required to record and document any type of physical activity that they do. There's an hour requirement to that. So if your child has phys ed on their schedule, that's something you can easily just email myself or Mrs. Quartman, and we'll be able to get you hooked up with that phys ed log. It's a pretty simple process at this point. We're looking at making that a little bit more refined. But as of right now, it's a pretty simple phys ed log. As far as our elementary students, middle school students, there is no requirement for gym class at this point. So a good question also, if your child is a new enrollee to the Milton Area School District, the majority of those devices are not ready yet. Again, we will reach out to you once those devices become available. We will reach out to you. Our IT department put together basically like a little bit of a triage unit, and they were working with the devices that we had to make sure that they were ready. And our new enrollees should be getting their devices pretty shortly. Login Sapphire information. Trying to think if that district office, if you are a new to the Milton Area School District, or you forgot your Sapphire information, your login information, your credentials for our Sapphire parent community portal page, contact the district office. You can call 570-742-7614. One of the secretaries over there, you just say, I'm looking for my Sapphire login and password information. They'll direct you to the appropriate secretary. Somebody said they missed the first half of the meeting. You can absolutely join our meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And also, the Zoom the meeting that we're conducting right now will be housed on, it's being recorded and will be housed on our webpage. And it's also going to be on our school's YouTube page as well. So you'll have this to reference back to. What is the link to the cyber school? That will come with once you get your credentials. Once your credentials are emailed to you, all of that information will be included in that email. Again, yep, if you don't have any more questions, you can feel free to leave the meeting. So another question here, it says, my daughter tried to get into Sapphire. It's telling her she needs a PIN. Students are required. They do have a PIN. Again, contact the district office. They should have that information to be able to get that PIN, login, and password and PIN number as well. Ben, I'm trying to say, you're saying, who do you call at the school? I'm not sure what you're referencing there, Ben. What apps do our kids need or websites? That information, once your child is enrolled in the respective platforms, so Accelerate Ed for our elementary students and Edison for our high school students, once they are enrolled, you will receive a welcome email that will include all of that information for you. So it says, I see Tesla says, I'm switching from traditional schooling to cyber schooling. When will I have information about that? Well, Tessa, I think we're getting some information right now about the cyber school piece. If you don't see any enrollment information, an email come through about your login and password that you're enrolled, I would just ask you would email myself or Mrs. Quartman by Wednesday afternoon if that has not come through. If you forgot your login information from last year, Joe, Mrs. Quartman, do you have a record of last year's login and password information for our returning students?
Sure do, and they can just shoot me an email and I will send it to them.
Good deal. Colleen asked, can elementary students get laptops instead of iPads? At this point right now, Colleen, we're going to have to make do with our iPads. We simply don't have 300 extra iPads around right now. I'm not saying that that might not be an option in the future, but for right now, we're asking that you do your best that you can with the iPads that you're giving. Crystal, what apps do they need to go in to start the cyber school? You're new to this, I get that, I understand that. So once your child or children are enrolled in either Accelerate Ed or Edison, you will receive an email, an introductory email that will have links to your respective online learning platforms, and it'll have your login and password to get your child started. Does my child need to track hours for physical education credit? If they have phys ed on their schedule, we'll have to get you a gym log, and they will have to track hours because it is kept track of based off of the number of hours of physical activity that they participate in. Choir work for your daughter. If you're a full-time cyber student or you're a flexible learning student, you do have the ability to come in and participate in a class if you so choose to. If you are not wanting your children to come in and participate in choir, I would contact the respective teacher and ask to see what that will look like from a virtual standpoint. I don't have all the details of what choir would look like from a virtual standpoint, but please feel free to reach out to Mr. Bergmuller, and he'll be able to kind of give you an idea of what that will look like from a virtual standpoint. Joe, third graders are using Sapphire. All students K-12 will utilize Sapphire as their main grade book. That's where you will see the most accurate, up-to-date grade books. And that'll take us a couple of weeks to get all of those grade books pulled into Sapphire, a week or so before they're in there. But at that point, then at the end of each week, we will take their grades from the respective course, Edison or Accelerate Ed, and we will transfer those grades into Sapphire. And Sapphire will be the most up-to-date place at the end of each week, most accurate representation of your child's grade. Yes, Linda is asking, is there an option for my kid to stay home 100% of the time in a flexible learning plan? Absolutely there is. If your child wants to participate streaming and watch their teachers in their building, teach, interact with the teachers in the building, interact with their peers in the building, be instructed from the teachers in the building, follow a building schedule, your child can absolutely participate 100% of the time from your home. The streaming platform, again, is the same one that they utilized last year, which is Microsoft Teams. Work will be sent through Sapphire, through Teams, or through Office 365. So yes, and Linda, if you choose to make a change, if you go onto the website, actually the address, Mr. Jones put it in here once or twice already. It is, you submit the email to cyber, T-O, flexible at miltonsd.org. Sorry, a little tongue tied here. Yes, if you have a loaner laptop, it will still work for flexible learning and also for cyber school because they are web-based programs. So another question, when does the emails get sent? If you got one for one of your kids already, but not for the other, if there's one at an elementary level, one at the secondary level, it's because the secondary kids have already been mass enrolled for us through Edison. We are still waiting to get to hear back from Accelerate Ed that they have mass enrolled our students. Once they have mass enrolled our students, we will then add courses to all of our elementary students, and you should then get an email stating that your kid's enrolled. If it's a secondary student that has not had their courses enrolled or had their courses added to their account, just email Mrs. Quartman or myself, and we will make sure that we get them enrolled. So if your child is absent from the cyber program, your expectations is the exact same thing. You contact your respective building. Actually, no, you email myself, you email me, let me know what the reason was for your child not being able to attend, and I will take care of that. You can send in a doctor's note. If it's a doctor's appointment, you can email that to me, take a picture of it, and email it to me, and we will keep that in our records as well. That's important. Good question, very good question. Crystal, you are not supposed to enroll your kids into our learning platforms. We will take care of that. Good question, though. Joe, are you looking for if you're looking for the cyber to flexible, you want your kids to go from cyber to flexible, that email address is cyber to flexible at miltonsd.org. So the schedule, Sherry asked, if we're new to cyber and to the school district, how do we know that our high school student has the classes they need? So one thing that we do when we get our records from other school districts or outside school districts, our guidance counselors do an academic history audit, and then they will input or add the kids into the appropriate courses based off of what they will need to be able to graduate from the Milton area school district. So our guidance counselors do an academic history audit to make sure they see what classes they've already taken and then what classes they will need to take in the future to make sure that they stay on track. Sherry, good question. Got it. Olivia asked, what does a typical day for a cyber student look like? First and foremost, the format of the day is up to you as the parent and the children to be able to set that. I would encourage you to try to put some type of structure to that day. One thing, when we're kind of left to our own devices and just kind of float, sometimes it's difficult to stay on track and on task. So it's important that you set some type of schedule that you can follow on a daily basis. The actual lessons themselves, there are embedded videos, audio files, content that needs to be read, questions answered, assignments that need to be completed, and then assessments at the end of each lesson. And then the success that your child has on that assessment will determine whether they need to go back and review a little bit or if they can proceed and move on to the next lesson. Good question. Says, my son is a junior and does not have phys ed on his schedule. Does he need it to be added to his schedule for the start of the school year? Phys ed does not have to be added at the start of the school year, but we can add that at some point. So if you have a question about that, Ganelle, then just shoot myself or Mrs. Quartman an email, and we can get you further information about that. So will cyber students be able to get school lunches? Yes, you can. It's going to operate the exact same way if you were in the building. I will ask you to reference our food service website on the Milton School District webpage. There's information about how flexible learning students and Cyber Academy students can go about picking up their lunches. So good question. That is available. But again, you know, whatever cost that lunch would normally be to your child in the building, the same cost would be incurred if you came and picked it up from whether you're a cyber student or not. But it is available. And again, please visit our food service webpage on the school district for more information about how that process works. Anything else on YouTube, Mr. Jones? I believe we are to the bottom of our questions. Again, folks, just want to remind you that this meeting is recorded and we're going to upload it to our Cyber School webpage as well as on our Milton's YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and reference this at any point, you will be able to do that. We will make sure that we have that up there within a day or so. What number do we call to get access to our Sapphire username and password? Number is 570-742-7614, and then dial the extension for the district office. Mrs. Quartman, did we miss anything? Anything you want to add?
No, sir, I was just looking through the Q&A to make sure we matched them all up, and it looks like we did pretty good, sir.
Okay. All right, folks, we are here to help you. We don't want this to be a cumbersome process. We want this to be as enjoyable of an experience as it possibly can for you and your child. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions. We will do our best to respond to those questions in a timely manner. Again, we ask just for your understanding if it takes us a little bit to get back to you, but we will do our best to respond. All right, folks, with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, and have a great evening.